rotational part is on an air bearing. It's actually floating on air right now.
Mm-hmm.
Air is critical. Right now you have the air pressure on. That's good. I know it's gone because I can look at the front of this and there's a little status bar at the bottom. Right now it doesn't say no air pressure. As long as it doesn't say no air pressure, you're good. If there's any other error messages hiding, right now it says okay. If there's any other error messages hiding okay, as long as that error message is not no air pressure, then you have air. So that's kind of the critical thing. If this was a situation where you didn't have air and this bearing ever rotated, the air bearing would be shot, or at least ruined. That's the expensive item. You know, that's the $12,000 to $15,000 repair. So air is the big thing. First thing I like to do is scare people, tell them that. Second thing I like to do is say, well, however, hey, once you have it on air, it pretty much takes care of itself. So if you lose air and you're in the middle of an experiment, it'll shut down. Just don't touch it. It's fine. When you're not running, which is this situation, we don't have a measuring system in there. Got the hood off to the side. We'll talk about that more later. The best way to take care of it is just to screw in this little white piece into the thread. The nice part is that it doesn't prevent you. Someone can stick their finger up in here and feel the air bearing and wiggle it. But for the most part, it makes that access harder. As long as no one's going to touch it, move it, it's safe. It's not going to get damaged. The nice part about it too is that even if you have it on air, it's explaining accidents happen in a lab. Someone's turning around and they go to strike this. Lateral forces can damage it too. When it's on air, it protects it some. It has some, but I made the point earlier, if I gave someone 10 minutes alone in any lab and told them break as much as you can find a way to break things, right? That said, we also know the right ways to take care of things, so doing normal laboratory activities, take care of it. I would just say put this on when you're not using it.
So how much air pressure do you need, Scott?
You need between, we say 80 and 120 psi. That said, I've worked as low as about 50 psi, and there's an air switch in there. It's just an electrical switch. It won't, as long as that doesn't shut off, you're fine. What this cup is, and I'll take it off now, just a little Teflon ring. It's got a hole in it, right? So you could reach your fingers up there and spin the motor, right? So it's not as good of a protection as, say, this foam block, right? But it's a temporary one where it's just being left, okay? If you were going to leave this for a prolonged period of time, the best way to store the unit is to take this foam block. Now this, right now you have the Peltier chamber in there, okay? So I'm not going to go through doing all the steps to remove it, but I'll just kind of tell you how you can do it. You take these little pieces off, and there's 3 screws accessed in here, okay? What you can do to remove it is take the smaller of the Allen keys, remove the 2 left-hand screws, and then remove the right-hand screw, right? And then this piece will pop out. You also have to get access. There's a little side door over here. Take the access off, and you can disconnect some lines in there. Then this whole Peltier plate can come off. If you notice, then this will sit flat across the board, right? And right now, it's not really going to sit flat. It's going to be up a little bit. This will still work to show kind of how to protect it. But I'm just going to show real quick. Oh, there we go. So I hit the reference button. I'm sending it up to its reference position.
Okay.
Right? Once it's at the reference position, it's going to know where it's at. That's the little REF button. Okay. Now I'm just going to hold the arrow down key down. And it's starting to move down. You hear that click, it stops, right? So that means what it's done is it's just kind of pushed in and now it's isolating that bearing so it won't rotate, right? So that's a nice safe way to store it, right? You could do it with the Peltier plate in there, but it's kind of bending that bottom cardboard. So what it's doing is preventing that from turning. It's also lifting up just slightly. I mean, this is a micron gap here, so it's also protecting it, locking it in place. So here's like a way to store it long term, right? Or if you need to pick it up and move it from this side of the room to that side of the room. You don't want to do it with just that on, right? When you're done, you know, if you want it to go up, you just hit the reference key. Yeah, that's going to raise to the top.